Hi, this is Joe here with another review. For this video, we're going to be discussing the 1972 Oscar-winning film, The Godfather. Starring, of course, Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, Al Pacino, James Caan, and of course, and also Talia Shire. I should mention her because her brother directed the movie, Francis Ford Coppola. Of course, this movie won a bunch of Oscars. Now, one of them went to Al Pacino, unfortunately. He had to wait over 20 years before he won an Oscar. But for, of course, Marlon Brando won his Oscar for this role, the second Oscar and last Oscar of his career, for playing the main character, Don Vito Corleone. Of course, what was controversial, of course, was the year where, in the 70s, we had a lot of controversial moments in the Oscars. Marlon Brando decided not to show up to accept his Oscar. Same thing with the guy who played Pan. A couple, 2 years earlier, also not to show up to the Oscars. I think it was considers the Oscars as a joke, and everything else, and decided not to show up and decided to watch a hockey game at home. So Marlon Brando decided not to show up and pull a stunt when he had an American Indian, accept the award in his behalf. And he says, "Oh, I cannot accept this award because the way American Indians have been treated by the motion picture industry." So, even though technically he won, he refused to accept it. I don't know if his family accepted it since he died, whatever. But who knows what happened to that Oscar? But for the movie, The Godfather, of course, it's based on the Mario Puzo novel, the same name, and it's a pretty long movie. Of course, mostly it's about a whole Italian family who runs a criminal enterprise. Of course, the very first scene, or the opening sequence, is of course the wedding of Talia Shire's character, the only daughter of Vito Corleone, or the Godfather. And during the wedding, people were asking him for favors. And of course, if you ask a favor of an Italian or a Sicilian, when his daughter's getting married, he cannot refuse you. I mean, that's a stupid article. So the whole first part of the movie is him accepting favors, or listening to requests. So, can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with that? And one of them was the singer who Don Corleone helped. And meanwhile, he wants to be in this movie, and meanwhile, the movie studio doesn't want him in there because he doesn't like him. Because they had the studio had sex with, stole a girl from him, so because of that, he doesn't want him in the movie. And of course, that's when you had the famous line, "I'm gonna make him an offer. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse." And of course, Don Corleone talked to the head of the studio and told him why he's never going to get a job for me because of what he did. So the next morning, he wakes up with a real horse's head in his bed, and it was covered in blood, the horse's blood and stuff. That's like the biggest gross out scene in the whole movie. And he starts screaming like a little girl, ah, 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 the horse's head in his bed. And of course, that became a not really a catchphrase, but it became a thing. The mafia putting a real horse's head in somebody's bed, just to scare the shit out of him, and it works because the singer got his job. So you have another job in the part of the movies in this movie that's being shot. So that's pretty much the whole movie with stuff like that. And meanwhile, there was one particular sequence where, of course, spoiler for those of you who never saw the movie, where Don Corleone gets shot. So now all of his sons, including Sonny, who was played by James Caan, who wasn't really a son, but he got adopted into the family. He takes over for a while and decides to get even with these guys, which they eventually did. And they're trying to do all this crazy stuff just to protect Vito Corleone because he does eventually recover from the shooting. And of course, Al Pacino's character, at first, he doesn't want to have anything to do with the family business. Because he was a war hero. It was just after when World War II ended. So, that's when it takes place during the 40s and the 50s. And of course, when Marlon Brando gets shot, Al Pacino wants to get revenge because he's the youngest one in the family. He feels like, hey, now he wants to get involved in the family business. And he does shoot the two guys who was involved with setting up Don Corleone. So he says the whole thing. So he kills the two guys, and because he does, he has to leave the country, goes to Sicily for a couple of years. He's hiding out over there. And while this was going on, he finds out that Sonny, the James Caan character, gets shot in revenge from what Al Pacino did. So Al Pacino does get back, and while Al Pacino was still there, he marries a local girl who gets herself blown up because the people knew that was involved with shooting Don Corleone knew that Al Pacino was in Sicily and trying to kill him. They didn't kill him, they killed his wife that he just married. So, as when that happens, he does go back to the United States, and while he was there, the Brando character does die. He looks like he dies of a heart attack, and when Al Pacino comes, he does marry the girl who he was hanging around with at the beginning of early in the film, and said, "Don't ask me about the family business." So she knew what was going on and what was some of the stuff that was happening, and since Brando's character is now dead, Al Pacino decides, "Hey, I want to kill my brother-in-law who's been abusing his wife," which does happen, and he does kill him. He does get him killed with a couple of goons, and so Al Pacino's second wife says to him, "Hey, what's going on?" And so Al Pacino tells him what's happening, and says, "I'm not going to tell you anything more after this." And of course, that's pretty much how the movie ends. Pretty much, but believe it or not. And afterward, Al Pacino tells him all this stuff. She leaves the office, and then all the people come in and says, "Thank you, Godfather," and kisses his hand. He kisses the ring of the new Godfather. And while that was going on, there was the last scene of the movie. Before Talia Shire's husband gets killed, they wanted to move the family business to Vegas and go into the casino business, which was run by the mafia at that time. In the early days of Vegas, with the casinos and stuff in the 40s and the 50s, were run by the mobsters, and even throughout the 60s and the 70s even. So that's what Al Pacino wants to do. Don't mess around with the stupid drug stuff. And that's what Marlon Brando they want to do. But other gangsters the other families wanted to do because it's more lucrative. And Marlon Brando says, "Oh, I don't want to go into that because the cops will go after us. The cops don't give a shit about us going with the gambling business and stuff. They don't care about that. But if we're going to drugs, then they're going to care about that stuff." So, but they're trying to convince Don Corleone to do it, and he wanted to do it, and then of course he got whacked for it. So, there's all kind of crazy stuff. But one thing that the Godfather movies, I haven't seen the other two, but if I ever see them, if they ever show them again, I probably will watch it then. But what the Godfather movies did, and Goodfellas kind of did it too, when they stylized the mobsters, the mafia. Even though the Italians got offended by that stuff, because it makes all of us Italians look bad. Well, it kind of does, kind of stereotypical stuff happening, but it did happen. But the Godfather is like a modern classic. It gets parodied, with "A woman going off I can't refuse," and leave the gun and take the cannoli, all that. Those lines have been quoted so often since 1972. But not because those lines are quoted doesn't mean it doesn't take away from the rest of the movie. But I feel the movie was, to me, it was just too long. I mean, I felt that the whole sequence with Al Pacino in Sicily, I thought that was like too long of a sequence, and there was too many times throughout this movie where you don't even see Marlon Brando, and he won the Oscar for Best Actor, and he was in the first part of the movie. Then he gets shot. And then you don't see him for a long, long time. And then you finally see him lying in the bed, and they get him out of the hospital because they knew he was going to get hit again, or the guys who hit him before was going to go after him again. And then you see him finally recover, and then you see him, and then he dies. And they displaced that with the Talia Shire stuff and Al Pacino being in Sicily. And so there's several long periods we don't see Marlon Brando's character. So like, he was not on, to me, Al Pacino was on screen longer than Marlon Brando was, and in terms of actual screen time. And even James Caan was on longer, Robert Duvall was on longer. I mean, in terms of the main characters, the only one who was on shorter than Marlon Brando was Talia Shire. Right? But, which is true. But, in the end of the film, I thought it was it is a classic movie. It is an Academy Award-winning film, but I think it kind of like stylized what the Mafia was, and that's what happened with the Godfather films. So that's my review of the Godfather. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Please subscribe to my channel. Please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all my reviews on my YouTube channel about RowdyC.com. So WDY. And that's C.com. There's a homepage and Rowdy Reviewer. Chris Lee Moore, and please check out all of his videos on his website. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.